Good morning, everybody. That was strong. I like it. Welcome to Million Cherokee. If everyone could just start to make your way towards the seat. If you are getting new seating, if you could move towards the front. This is definitely a community thing, and with too many people in the back, it kind of has a weird feel. Well, again, welcome to 1MC Cherokee. I'm the 1MC MC, Matthew Thomas. I'm with the city of Canton. Glad everyone is here to start off our round of 1MC Cherokee for the month of April. For those of you that may not know, 1MC is short for 1 Million Cups. It's a program that was launched by the Kaufman Foundation. It's based on the notion that entrepreneurs network and discover solutions over 1 million cups of coffee. So this program is tailored for businesses to share their companies and share their ideas with the community, and of course, there has to be coffee involved. It happens every Wednesday around the country. For the program we have here in Cherokee County, we host it every first and third Wednesday every month. The first Wednesday is always here at the Circuit in Woodstock. The third Wednesday meeting is at a rotating city in Cherokee County. So just a quick sort of definition of what 1MC is. It's a free program designed to educate, engage, and connect entrepreneurs with their communities. One MC culture, one of the first sort of core beliefs of 1MC is it's safe and supportive. I've said this all the time, but 1MC is not Shark Tank. We aren't here to really sort of get after one's business that's presenting. It's more so to ask probing questions. It's more so to offer guidance if need be, and then find out how the community can really support the presenting business. But it's also key in that anytime a business, or even if you yourself have made a presentation, it's good to know that you're in a safe environment, and 1MC does just that. It's really a meeting of like-minded people, whether that's entrepreneurs or people in the community, all coming together to support a company that does exist in the community, however, is perhaps facing some sort of barrier or needs guidance on what that next stage of growth is. The second part of it is that 1MC is inclusive and diverse, meaning that it spans across really any sector of the economy. It does not matter what stage of growth the business is in or what type of business you may have. 1MC is a place where people of all different kinds of businesses can come together and not just network, but also, as you'll see at every gathering, existing business in the community that again perhaps facing challenges or wants to present their idea to the community at large. Last but not least, 1MC is respectful and considerate. 1MC, one thing that's very unique about it is it's not just a gathering for entrepreneurs. 1MC is open to the general public, and again, it allows a business or a company in the community that perhaps the public may not be aware of. It allows them to present that idea, but then too it allows the public to go back and ask questions, start conversations, and hopefully help that business in their growth begin to discover new solutions, new ideas as questions are being asked, as the idea is being presented. 1MC Cherokee's unique vision is to partner with leaders from each city to carry the banner of entrepreneurship throughout all of Cherokee County. One way we do that is by a lot of the businesses that we present represent a number of, well, it's really all the cities in Cherokee County, but also the fact that we rotate our meetings across the county. Again, that's that third Wednesday meeting. Last month, we had it in Canton. This month, we'll have it in Molesta, that third meeting. Again, we talked a little bit about what some of the scheduling is. The first Wednesday is always here at the Circuit, and the third Wednesday is at a city in Cherokee County. We want to spread the love around. Our organizing team, Misty Martin, who's the president of the Cherokee Office of Economic Development. We've got Jonathan Chambers. Where are you, Jonathan? Wave your hand, Jonathan. Jonathan is the glue to the whole operation. He pulls us all together, so it can't happen without the hard work of Jonathan. Aaron Honey with the City of Holly Springs. Brian Stockton, wave your hand, Brian. City of Woodstock. Tim Norton, who represents the Reinhardt University, as well as the City of Molesta, and then yours truly. A special thanks to, again, the Cherokee Office of Economic Development, who also opens up this venue and allows us to meet in it. Fresh Start Cherokee, the Circuit, City of Holly Springs, City of Woodstock, City of Canton, and Reinhardt University. A real big special shout out to our event sponsors. First off is Voice Over City. Gerald, wave your hand back there. Gerald handles all our AV for us. And then Fontes Mountain Spring Water is our coffee sponsor. Wave your hand. Fontes, actually, if I'm not mistaken, a water company, correct?
Right.
But sponsored the coffee this morning.
We need coffee as well.
Oh, great. If the coffee tastes fresh, then...
We're bringing water and taxi coffee all along with it. So.
Why not? Thank you. One more thing is one way to connect with us at 1 Million Cups. We're really working hard to spread the word about what we have here. 1MC is a very unique program, again, that any business from any point in that business development stage is able to come and present their idea to the public. There aren't many venues where such a thing happens, and also a venue where the business receives guidance and isn't necessarily just pitching things out to investors. This is really about dialogue, it's about Q&A, it's about engagement. So please do connect with us. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, then we're on Instagram, but also we have a 1MC app too. If you are interested in presenting at a 1MC meeting, all you have to do is go to 1millioncups.com/Cherokee. That's our page. What's very unique to 1MC too is that each and every gathering is recorded and is posted on that website. So perhaps you missed a meeting in March or you missed meetings in February. You can always go back and look at those. Or perhaps you may need ideas in case you want to present. You can always go back, and we keep that historical data on the 1MC Cherokee site. So it's also a great resource to go back and look at what past presentations have done, even some of the questions you may anticipate. But without further ado, this morning we have presenting Reformation Brewery, 1MC. The way the format works is the presenting business has 6 minutes to talk about their business, present their new idea, perhaps talk about what's coming up, and then we open it up for 20 minutes of Q&A. So everyone, please give a warm round of applause for Mr. Spencer Nix, Reformation Brewery.
Thank you, guys. Good morning. How's everyone doing? Good. Awesome. Awesome. If I were to, I'm assuming everyone in here is an entrepreneur. Yes, pretty much. Well, just to begin, you guys are the very fabric of our community, of our state, and I firmly believe the fabric of our nation. And I can't thank you enough for what you do. I love entrepreneurs. There's nothing more I like to do than buy people beer, and entrepreneurs are my favorite people to buy beer for. It's a little early for that, but I did bring some beer that we're releasing actually today, and the clicker's already going crazy. And I want you to grab a beer before you leave, and just my token of appreciation for all that you do for our community. All right, nobody taught me, gave me a lesson on how to do this. There you go. Here we go. All right. If you would have asked me 18 years ago where I would be standing this morning, it would not be here. And how many people can say that as an entrepreneur? Where were you 10, 15, 20 years ago? I always like to do this as a practice to get perspective on my day and my life, because it's crazy. But 18 years ago this morning, I was in my second semester of New Testament Greek. And I was learning tons about Greek, and declining nouns and pronouns and conjugating verbs. And yet, here I am, 18 years later, in my hometown, talking about beer.
Amen.
Thank you, Dave. People often ask, they always want to start with, what do you do? Spencer, what do you do? What does Reformation Brewery do? Well, I always like deeper conversations than what. I always like to try to get to wine, but I understand this is just how our culture is made up. People want to know all the time, what do you do? Most simply put, we make water into beer, into culture. Now, that's pretty simple, and I'm going to take you through just a little bit of what's behind our brand. Then we're going to talk a little bit about some of our problems. We've got 95 problems. The beer is not one, but I'm going to share 3 with you this morning, and then we're going to talk a little bit about what we're attempting to do to solve some of those problems, and then hopefully get your input as well. So, it's fast. As I said earlier, we are very much about why we exist. And behind every wine are really values. Values are vitally important to who we are as a business. They're vitally important to me. They help direct our directions and so forth. But these are 6 of our values: acceptance, stories, authenticity, moderation, humility, and humor. People often ask, what makes up your brand? And if I had to point to one thing, it's these six values. Now, what do values do other than hang on the wall and you point to them every now and then? Well, they really drive your ethics as a business. And my personal business ethic is Semper Reformata. It is a very Protestant work ethic, and it's something I've incorporated into my life. Sometimes it is exhausting for my employees. Some of them may be here and they know. I never stop striving to make something better. And that can be exhausting for a lot of people, but that's just engraved in who I am. I'm 100% Scottish, all sides of my family. We are very strong Protestants. And this was a slogan here in the Protestant Reformation in the 16th century: always be reforming. And that guides my life and how I conduct business. And it's what's driving it are those values. It's driving this ethic. What we often say is we're always reforming expectations as a business. We're embracing the freedom to always improve. A lot of times when you are talking about improvement, people always think, well, you failed, so we've got to change something. That's not always the case. You can always get better. You can always improve. And that's what we seek to do. Now, as a brand, you may have noticed, and some of you have heard me speak at other venues, etc., we love to talk about the moments around why we drink beer. Moments always matter to us. And I think some of these moments you see on the screen kind of encapsulate a lot of the different moments that we do drink beer. Up here on the top right, that's our brewmaster. I think he's in France. And then we've got somebody, out on the trail. We've got Aaron Bursmith in his America hat out to watch the Super Bowl. Intimate, gathering around the table. So Atlanta United games, and also for our community, we got the Reformation Stands can down there as we celebrate all the things that our community does. A lot of times, I often say this in our company: the most important things in life you can't count. They're not quantifiable. They don't show up on a spreadsheet. And I think that's important because as entrepreneurs, we have to be tied to spreadsheets. We have to understand how our business works. But the most important things in life are not those things. Probably heard us say we love to set beer free. So the next question is, well, what are you setting it free from? Well, we're setting it free from fear, noise, and neglect. All these things really keep our industry in the shadows and tied down. So what are we setting it free from? In fear, where we're trying to celebrate the freedom to love. There's a lot of fear out there of missing out, fear of being on trend, fear of being silenced, shamed, ignored, and fear often creates insecurity. It creates insecurity in your business. So we want to set ourselves free from that as well as fear. The world is a noisy place, as you all know. There's constant distractions. We're trying to say as a brand, the quietest moments can stand out the most. And that drives a lot of what you see in our packaging, our marketing. We often try to contrast from everything what everybody else is doing. You go to a beer shelf, you know the choices are overwhelming now. And a lot of it is just loud and busy. We try to pull back and be quiet, and a lot of times that does stand out. Setting it free from neglect. Neglect is about losing balance. This is where our value moderation plays. When you neglect something, it results in losing perspective and losing your value. So we want to always take time to pause and appreciate. All right, this is a quote that really had a big impact on me early on. Brand is the promise, the big idea, the expectations that reside in each customer's mind about a product, service, or company. Branding is about making an emotional company. Now, a lot of people don't like emotions, they don't like feelings, and that's fine. But if you can make your customer, make your guest feel something, it's much more powerful than anything else you're going to do as a brand or a company. Our value proposition, this is me and Christopher at the Reed's house. We did a Reformation stands here for them, and all the proceeds went to this project. But this is our value proposition. Reformation makes timeless, inspiring craft beers for the reformer and everyone. All right, that's a little bit about what's behind our brand. Most simply stated, Reformation values wine you drink as much as what you drink. And that's somewhat a stark contrast to other, that's just like a differentiating proposition for us. Most others are constantly, this is what it is, this is the ingredients, this is how it's different. And all that's interesting and good, you have to be doing that. But we want to celebrate why you're in that moment, why you're enjoying that craft beer as much as what is in your hand. All right, like I said, we got 3 problems. It didn't translate very well. Looks like we only have 1. But 3 problems. We are in a highly regulated industry. What's that? You said 2 minutes. All right, I got 2 minutes. Highly regulated industry doesn't always share our values or ethics. We're in a strict 3-tier state, and that middle tier doesn't always share our values and ethics. So that's one big problem. Another big problem is consumer preference is a moving target. You guys are not loyal to anything. You're always asking me, some of you already did this morning, what's new? What's coming? What's next? That's a problem. Third problem, rapid growth and a high value for quality comes at a cost of sacrificing product innovation. We have grown tremendously over our 4 years, and some of that has been painful growth. And one of the costs of that growth is often having the time and the human resources to keep innovation moving forward. So those are the 3 problems. These are ways we're seeking to solve them. We're trying to serve our distributors and our customers. We're serving them through our values. This is going to win them over time. We're trying to transcend the narrative from what's new to what's truly great. And we're also building a better box. Some of you probably heard, we're adding a research and development brewery right here in downtown Woodstock, right behind Saul, beside the pie bar, and behind the grill, right here on Elm Street, coming hopefully summer of this year. That's all part of our innovation. All right, some real practical ways. We're moving in a direction that is trying to solve one of these problems of consumer choice. We are launching a brand. It actually launches today. You can join us at Lady Bird tonight on the Beltline. We're going to have a launch party, and then Friday down at Reformation Brewery. We're launching Nolan the Wanderer. This is one brand that has many different styles of IPA that's going to live under. So it's always going to constantly rotate under this one brand. The style is going to be printed on the bottom of the can, but we are going to always be in this can different IPAs. We'll talk more about that in Q&A. And this is our rendering of 105 Elm Street, and this is where we're going to do research and development and reinvest in product innovation and so forth. Did I make it?
Yeah. Good. Perfect.
All right. Thank you guys for coming. I think we're going to go into the Q&A.
We got 20 minutes for Q&A, so that's
Nick.
So Set Beer Free is officially 6 months old now since regulatory kind of went in your favor.
Correct.
Which is awesome.
Yep.
Tell us what the impact of revenues, marketability have been in the first 6 months.
Yeah, the law changed, for those of you who may not know, the law changed in the state of Georgia September 1st of 2017, which now allows brewery to actually sell their product in the place that they manufacture it. Before then, we could only sell you a tour. It was this shell game where you came in, you got a glass, you got samples, yada, yada, yada. Now you can come in and directly purchase a beer. Your choice, your adventure. That has freed us up to offer different experiences. Whereas before you were kind of pigeonholed into the tour experience, now it's about your experience. We operate more like a typical bar, restaurant would operate, and that has opened up opportunities such as the research and development brewery here in downtown Woodstock. Whereas before it would have been kind of confusing to do that. In the consumer, we were always constantly trying to educate on why you couldn't buy beer, whereas now you can. It opens up a ton of new experiences and events that we can offer, and all of that is driving our new location here in Woodstock. Boom. Done. Colin.
When will the new location open?
You tell me, Councilman. When will the new location open? The new location is slated to open in the summer of 2018. Actually, we received our building permit yesterday, and our contractors, he has 130 days where he starts paying us. So hopefully 130 days from today.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what will your research center, what is it all about?
Yeah, our research and development brewery will be a 5-barrel brewery. Everything in our industry is measured in barrels. 1 barrel is 31.5 gallons. This will be a 5-barrel brewery. It's a very small scale brewery. Where our manufacturing brewery does about 17.5 barrel. It operates more like a 30-barrel brew house. So this 5-barrel brew house will allow us to constantly bring in new recipes, new formulas, and test them out in our hometown, home market, get real-time feedback, and we'll be able to do constant rotations. We'll probably create 50 new beers next year, and this is all going to be, part of that launch strategy. As beers grow, as they get, feedback, we'll put them into the next phase of launch until it gets into the market. Knowing the Wonder is a good example of this. It took about 8 months of total research and development to launch this beer. Yes, sir.
How many employees do you currently have, and how many do you expect at the new facility?
How many employees do we currently have? How many do we expect in the new facility? Great question. That's one of the great parts about the change in the law, has allowed us to expand rapidly. Currently, we employ 45 part and full-time employees. We anticipate that number to probably double, mostly in part-time when we locate here in downtown Woodstock, when we open a lot more, so forth, but we anticipate on doubling that amount.
What are some of the still, the new laws passed, I was wondering, before you change things, what are some other things that you still face challenges, and how do you attack those, or how do you stay within the rules and kind of push the limits a little bit?
Sure. Well, our strategy is to talk to you, educate the consumer. You are our most powerful advocates. Breweries don't have tons of cash resources to go and lobby our state politicians, but what we do have is grassroots community support. And politicians, I've learned, listen to one or two things. Too bad Caldwell in here, he'd agree. They listen to money and they listen to votes. We don't have a lot of money, but we do have a lot of votes. That's how we got the changes we have gotten. We mobilized a very grassroots effort through the Georgia Brewers Guild, and people called and got involved in the process, and the law changed in a matter of 3 years. For the future changes, we're going to stick to that approach. It's what works for us, and some of the changes we would like to see in the state of Georgia would be some limited distribution. I don't want to own a fleet of trucks, but almost every state in the southeast, except for Georgia, has some form of limited distribution where you could, possibly distribute up to a certain amount of barrels per year. You can distribute, as they do in Tennessee, you can distribute in the county that you're located. North Carolina has a really good hybrid system, and be great for Georgia to follow it.
So the trucks with your name on it are...
Those are our distributor trucks that we wrap for them, but they're just rolling billboards around Atlanta. Yeah.
Really good presentation. My question is, how do you find that you do your best by building your tribe? Is it word of mouth? Is it grassroots marketing, social media?
Yeah, it's mostly grassroots marketing. That's how it's been for 4 years. We are beginning to look at some more mass marketing opportunities, but really it's grassroots. It's knocking on doors and calling, your media, your local media, calling their bloggers that are, talking about your industry, incentivizing them to get the word out.
How does an app like Untapped play a part in kind of your decision making, or how you receive user reviews of customers?
How does an app like Untapped influence some of our business decisions? It's fun and sometimes funny. I saw a review yesterday. Someone reviewed a local brewery's sour beer, and they said it was a half star, and it had one comment. It said sour. So you have to consider the source always. So when we do read the reviews and we respond, we want to be active in all those platforms and engaging the community, even when they're killing it. We appreciate the feedback, but you have to consider the source. You look at other reviews, what they typically like. We're still in an education phase in our industry, and a lot of consumers think they know what they want, and they'll order something, and then it's not that the beer is bad; it's they don't like that style of beer, and so we have to take that into account. But yeah, we read it, and we have huddles every month. We talk about all that feedback, and it helps direct some of our decisions.
All right, so new law change, you sell beer direct.
Yeah.
It's great, brings on more employees for you. It also enables business models to work for people who aren't currently making beer.
Yeah.
More breweries come online. There are a lot of breweries already.
Yeah.
It's a crowded marketplace. There's a lot of craft beer. How does that play, and how do you stay on top?
Yeah, it's a great question. Just like any industry, there's going to be a saturation point. I don't know how far we are away from that in Georgia. We're still per capita very low on breweries to the amount of people, but we are mindful of that, and we want, and this is again goes back to our brand, we want people to have an identification with who Reformation is, a feeling that goes along with Reformation. So when that decision point comes, that there's possibly something more there than, oh, this is a new beer, I want to try it. And I think eventually we're going to go through all the new beers, and then it's going to come back down, and it's starting to now. People are actually starting to weed themselves back to lower ABV, a little more sessionable beers, which I think is overall positive for our industry. It'll make breweries a lot more sustainable in the future. Yeah.
So, as you grow, Spencer, how do you guys ensure that you keep your company culture with your team?
Yeah, that's a great question. Really, it's one-on-one time. It's caring. I actually pastored a church for 10 years previous to becoming a brewery owner, and I learned a lot about the needs of people, and all people have the same needs. And you care for them, love them, bring them along with you, share your struggles, your pain, your frustrations, and they'll be glad to follow. But that is a constant process of getting in front of them and showing them who you are. Yes.
What is the profile of the person you hire, and what types of jobs?
Great question. Yeah, the type of person we hire and what we're looking for. There's not a lot of people who have any experience or education in our industry because it's pretty new and it's growing so rapidly. And there's a shortage of people, especially on the technical side, the brewing side, which is why technical schools like Chattanooga Tech and others are so valuable for our communities. We need more of that. I'm all for bringing back vocational training in high school as well, because those jobs are readily available. But how we hire is based on values. We hire the culture, very cliche, but it's very true. We don't necessarily ask what you've done. We ask who you are, why you want to do this, why you want to join us. Other questions? Yeah.
You mentioned culture a lot, and values, but you also have an expanding business.
Yes.
How do you stay true to your why while adding employees, while growing your brand?
Yeah. We're constantly changing that, but we're implementing a policy and basically an employee handbook, excuse me, that starts with the education of our culture. It's in every interview that we have. We're talking about culture. We're making sure people understand what they're getting into. They're coming into a company culture, and we want them to be a part of it. So we educate them from day one. That is at the forefront. And then after that is what you do. So it's just constant training, constantly telling them. Yep. Oh, okay, question. Sir.
Since the law changed, are you still doing tours and samples? I mean, you still having that old business model essentially and moving into the new location as well?
Yeah. We no longer by law have to give a tour, but we do tours on the weekends. We schedule them, and we'll let people know during the open hours when a tour is going to happen. But you don't buy the tour, and samples now you can just purchase rather. In the past, it was $15 for the tour and the samples. Now you can get a 2.5 or a 3-ounce pour for I think $2.50. If you want a full pour, $6. So it's up to you.
I know your beer's everywhere around this area.
I wish.
But where are you kind of looking to expand to next as far as regional?
Yeah, we've adopted a very slow growth policy. Again, it goes back to culture and not wanting to grow too fast. And spreading ourselves too thin and losing who we are as a business. So we embrace that slow growth. We're over 4 years old, we're just now in the entire state of Georgia, and we're looking to go deeper in all the markets in Georgia, is the first part of that answer. The second part is we are looking in Chattanooga, which is like Atlanta. You can get there just as quick. It's a great market, great demographics for craft beer, and we should be launching there in the next 40 days. Relaunching there. Yes, Steve.
So, second location, primarily research and development?
Yes, second location is primary research and development. Manufacturing and production will remain at Elm Street for now. At Farm Hill for now.
Talk about the business model there, because I know you guys are planning. You also planning, because your Moments is a big deal in the Reformation.
Yes.
So what do Moments look like there, and how do you?
We want to be in the. Obviously, we all know what's happening in downtown Woodstock. It's a very, it's a thriving community, and we want to be a part of that. We had over 30,000 people come through our keeping room last year, and it's located off Farm Hill Road in a nondescript and light industrial zone office space. We want to get right in the heart of where everything is happening in downtown, because again, this is where people are celebrating, they're living, they're working, they're playing, all right here in downtown Woodstock. So it makes sense with our values and vision that we would be a part of what's already happening and really celebrating what's happening here in downtown. That answer it? Yes, sir.
Strategy for expansion, are you looking more to like get into restaurants or bars, something like that, or you can get actually on shelves at your supermarkets and stuff?
Yeah. What's the strategy for expansion? It's both. There's only a certain amount of taps available in all of the state of Georgia, and that's where the biggest competition is. It's on the tap level because there's just so many beers, so many brands. So we're constantly fighting for that, and we will continue to fight for that, because it is great for your brand, for your business to be on tap at your local bar. But the longer term expansion and growth of our business is in package sales. So locally, you should be able to find us in your local Kroger, Target, Publix. But when you get outside of the 10, 15 mile radius of Woodstock, it starts to, it's spotty. We are looking to get a corporate mandate into actual cold storage. Right now, we're probably in the middle or on the end cap. We're actually have some promises that we will be in the cold storage in all Brokers and Publix in the state of Georgia. Hopefully by the end of the year. That will be a huge win. Yes?
Two-part question. So, 4 years old now, you're growing. What's been the hardest thing to let go? And then, what have you defined as your strongest point? Is it evangelizing the word here? Is it the R&D portion? Is it bookkeeping?
Let me answer the first part. What was the first part?
What's the hardest thing to letting go?
Yeah, hardest thing to letting go is I have always been an entrepreneur in some sense of the word, but most of my entrepreneur things were one-man shows, so I was just used to doing it all. Micromanaging, wanting to be involved in every detail. That's the hardest part, trusting somebody else to do it, to run with your vision. And it's still something I'm working on. Second part?
What's your strongest suit? In your role as CEO, is it evangelizing the word?
Yeah, I tell the story, I talk to people, buy the beers. It really is not, it's not that sexy. And answering about 6,000 emails a day, and just keeping the wheels turning, keeping the ball rolling. Something gets stuck, there's a problem, that's where I am. There's a fire, that's where I get called to. No matter if it's on the production side of the wall, it's out in the cells, it's in our tasting room. There's always a fire that needs putting out, and that's where I'll get called to. Yes?
Do you get involved in tasting competitions, and have you won any awards?
Yeah, there's tons and tons of competitions now, almost too many, and they're not all created equal. What got us into brewing, we were home brewers before we started this venture, and when you're giving your beer away, everyone thinks it's the best beer they ever had, because it's free beer. And they were all telling us, you make great beer, go start a business. Like, okay, great. We took one of our beers, what's essentially Cadence today, and we entered into the Georgia State Brew-Off, which is a certified competition. And first time we ever entered a competition, and it won first place in that brew competition. So that gave us actual confidence that what we were making was a good product, and not just our friends telling us it was awesome because they were drinking it for free. Since then, we have entered some competitions. Honestly, we don't have a ton of time to do so, but some of the competitions we have entered, like the World Beer Cup, Declaration, won again this year. I think it was second place for Imperial Stouts in the whole nation, which we're very proud of. Wish people would drink, you don't need to drink too much Declaration, it's big beer. But, and Cadence also, which is really our anchor product, has won a bronze medal in the World Beer Cup as well. So we're proud of that.
Yes. Follow up, with winning number one, what's involved in shipping it to people who might have heard about it? You ship what kind of quantities?
Yeah, as I said earlier, it's a highly regulated industry, and it's weird because wine and beer are regulated differently, both in our state and nationally. Whereas you can ship wine in a lot of places, you cannot do so with beer. Beer it's technically against the law to ship beer. That you can ship it to somebody who you're giving them a sample and so forth, but you can't sell it online and ship it to them. Somebody figure out that model. That's another business. Yes.
What is your favorite Reformation beer and your favorite not?
Yeah, that's a great question. My favorite Reformation beer is the one that's in my hand. No, it is a really difficult question. They're so personal to me. They're kind of like my children. It depends on the day which one's my favorite, and it does depend on kind of the moment. I probably drink Hattie the most because it's lower ABV, and Lord knows I need to watch that weight. So I drink Hattie, and I'm out in the market a lot, and the need to drink a beer, I know it sounds terrible, is present. So if that Hattie's available, or whatever's the lower ABV, is what I go for. That's just the honest answer. My favorite taste, Jude. Non-beer. Favorite non-beer is the beer that got us into brewing. My partner's co-founder is a pilot. He was bringing beers back from Europe, and that's where we first fell in love with beer. And the beer that we first fell in love with was a Zurich beer called Dunkel Pearl. and it was a dark lager, and at the time, it was my favorite beer. He went back to Zurich a few years ago and brought back Dunkel Burl. We're like, oh, all right, let's have this nostalgic moment. And we cracked it open, drank it. We're like, oh my God, it's terrible. But overall, Triple Carmelia in the States it's a Belgian import, a lot like Jude, and it's my favorite beer.
We got time for one more question.
One more question. Yes.
Okay.
You're the chosen one.
All right, thank you. It sounds like you have a sales workforce.
Huh?
So tell me how you were able to expand across the state of Georgia and now into Tennessee.
It's a great question asking about our sales force and how we expanded. Again, highly regulated industry. We actually can't sell beer directly to the bars and restaurants. It's a 3-tier. So our distributor is actually the one who makes the transaction. That being said, they're not all that incentivized to sell our product. Is that the nicest way to say that? And we have to have a sales force. So we have, currently we have 3 individuals who work our entire state. And it's really a 2-pronged approach. They are selling to our distributor partners. We have 7 in the state of Georgia. So they're constantly pitching them what our product is, why they should be selling it, what's good about it, and how it fits different accounts. And then we also have them out visiting accounts, knocking on every bar door and evangelizing them on Reformation. So and then when we do that and they go, yeah, I want that beer, then we have to then connect them to the distributor to make the sale. And there's a lot of lost sales in that process alone. That's another one of the 95 problems. Yeah.
One final question we always ask at everyone you see gathering is, what can your community do for you?
Yeah, well, that would be selfish for me to tell you because you guys have been incredible. Woodstock, Cherokee County has been an incredible community to locate. It is my home. It's been my home for almost all my life. So when I went to school for a few years, and you guys have stood with us from our tiny beginnings to where we are now in a very rapid expansion and growth phase. So all I can ask you to do is keep spreading the word, keep being who you are, and nothing but mad respect for each of you and for our community. Cheers.
Before you go, I'm sure you'll have several uses for these, but take a 1 Million Cups coffee mug. Well, we've actually got 2. We've got the whole package for you. So that's our gift as a way of saying thank you. Cheers. Appreciate it, sharing. Yes, sir. Absolutely. If you've got any more questions for Spencer, feel free to ask. I'm sure he'll be around for a little while at least. Door prizes. Has everyone put in a business card in the little pail that was back there? Little bucket? Yes? No? All right.
Is this for the 2 cases of beer?
That'd be the ultimate giveaway.
We're actually going to raffle those off.
Let's do it. All right. Harry Welchill. All right. Yes, sir. Next we got Jared Robinson. And last but not least, Patrick Lee Merriweather. All right, thank you. Catch. Well, that concludes our program for today. I think Spencer's got some giveaways he wants to give out, but otherwise, the next time we'll meet will be at Reinhardt University. Feel free to look us up online for more details about that. And thank you all for coming. We're adjourned.